I'm so happy to be here in Dallas. I just want to thank Retalix for making it possible to be here. So thank you to Greg and Oren and Todd and Shuki and Ruthie and all of you for taking some time this morning to think about some of the research that we've been doing over the last few years that we think profoundly affects the future of retailing. So when we think about this stuff, you know, we're really thinking about how suddenly imperative this idea of trust really is. It's always been important, of course, but suddenly it's more imperative than it's ever been. Let's talk about why. You know, it was back in 1996 that the head people at Barnes & Noble corralled Jeff Bezos. He's the guy who founded Amazon.com, and he was still in the middle of his 28 quarters where he lost money. And so the Barnes & Noble people wanted to do him a favor. So they sat him down and they said, Jeff, we want to buy you because we're about to launch BarnesandNoble.com, and since we have a better known logo and brand than you do, we're going to eat you alive. So as a sort of present to you, we want to buy you. And he said, with all respect, no. Let's see how that turned out for everybody. Let's see. Today, Barnes & Noble, nice bookstore, has a market cap of $735 million. That's a pretty good business. Let's see how Jeff is doing with Amazon.com. That's right. He now has a market cap of $117 billion. And that is the difference between a retailer that's a very good retailer, Barnes & Noble, that is very product-oriented, and a very good retailer who is, Amazon.com, customer-oriented. Barnes & Noble has figured out how to have gorgeous stores and set up the products and then try to find customers for those products, and that's worth about $735 million in market cap. But Jeff Bezos has figured out how to find customers, one after the other, one at a time, cater to each one, and then has made sure that he finds products and more products for those customers. How many of you have ever bought anything from Amazon.com that is not in the book, Kindle, or DVD family? Anybody with me? I recently bought a refrigerator from Amazon.com, and Amazon had it installed for me in my Upper West Side New York apartment. So that's how I think of Amazon. So that's the difference between product focus and customer focus. Now, product focus made a lot of sense way back in the 1900s. By the way, that phrase is not mine. I have a niece named Molly. She's 16. And Molly is very cool. Now, I have terrific sons, but I forgot to have daughters. And so it's really great to have my nieces because they keep me straight on some things. So Molly's talking to me, and she says, oh, Aunt Martha, you know, way back in the 1900s. And I got it right away. So when we think about those old days, then it made sense to be product-oriented. You had a product you wanted to sell, or a service, or a series of services, or whatever it was, and then you tried to find customers for that product. Sell it to as many people as you can. It doesn't matter who it is. And the goal then was to try to get as much market share as you could. But now the focus is different because of the technologies, because we can focus on the people who are actually paying us money. Then instead of focusing on one product at a time and trying to find customers for the product, then like Amazon, we focus on one customer at a time and then try to find products for that customer over time. And we do that over and over and over and over with each one of our customers. Why? Because those customers that we have and the customers that we have in the future, they're the ones who will determine what the limit is to the size of our business, to the growth of our business. Products, they're unlimited. Channels, they're unlimited. But customers, they're still finite. So that means instead of just focusing on how to maximize the value that's created by every product or every department or every piece of our business, that we have to think in terms of maximizing the value that's created by every single customer. Not, are we making more in the dairy area this month than we did last month? But rather, is Mrs. McGillicuddy giving us all her business? Is she giving us part of her business? Is she shopping here more or less than she used to? Why? That's what interests us more. There's a way of doing business in Japan called Toyama no Kosuri Uri. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And one of the businesses that practices this actually sets up a little medicine cabinet in people's homes. And then they come around every so often and they stock it with the basic stuff that everybody needs from the drugstore. And then they come around, occasionally, and they replace what you've used, and then they charge you for that. And so basically it works like a hotel minibar, only in your home with stuff from the drugstore. So they keep their records in a written record, which they call a daifukucho. And this written record actually keeps track of what's in different households. So if it turns out that you use more of the stomach ailment remedies, then they will start giving you a bigger choice in that and maybe cut down on some of the choices in some of the other categories. So it's very tailored to the customer. It helps the customer a lot, and it helps the business as well. Now, what's remarkable about this business is not just that they do a great job with remembering what customers want and tailoring it for them. That seems normal to us these days. What's remarkable about this business is that they've been around since 1750. They've been around for, over 250 years. They have been in the houses of some families straight through without a break for these 2.5 centuries. They're deeply trusted. I want you to think for a moment about how much the products inside the cabinets have changed. It's the customers that have remained the same. That's what's at the heart of this business. And they can't build it for generation after generation after generation without people really trusting them. Now, trust is really everything. In fact, our prediction is that trustability will become the single most enduring measurement of a company's ability to create and sustain value. We did a study on this and in fact discovered that across all industries that 84% of marketing leaders agree that building customer trust is going to become marketing's primary objective over the next 10 years. Now, that is really a huge challenge given the world that we're living in these days and the opinion that customers have of us. Because customers can be very tough. But there are 3 things that they respond to. If we figure out what's best for each one of them, and then we do it and do it well, and we do it and do it well proactively, they don't have to work so hard so that we can make some money. We do some of the work for them. It's radical. So how do we make sure that we do that? Well, we are thinking all the time about maximizing the value that's created by every single customer.